And what is going on, everybody? So, welcome to another episode of the Phillies Top Podcast. We're on episode 10 of this series. Basically, in short, in a nutshell, we'll talk all things like Phillies baseball and, with the trade deadline, especially this episode today. We're also going to go discussing some of the different trade deadline kind of ideas that the Phillies should need to go out and grab. But before we get into the show, if you guys are definitely new to the channel, make sure you smash that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. And with that being said, let's hop right into it. But let's go, Butterfly. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. So, kind of where I'm going to start things off is the trade deadline, which for those who have seen in the other throughout my different other live streams, I did mention that I'm going to have a couple people on, kind of really looking over the trade deadline, and not just my Phillies. Any other teams that could be looking for some different assets to kind of improve their teams a little bit, especially in Phillies in particular. Is that the unfortunately a lot of time, and I did mention that Andrew Benintendi is one of those guys, and kind of go to the Andrew Benintendi news. If nobody has not seen that, is that the Phillies were also linked to Benintendi, which unfortunately the organization whiffed on that opportunity to get someone like an Andrew Benintendi. Because let's be real, our outfield help has been not that great, to say the least. And I'm putting it lightly because Schwarber's still doing his thing. Castellanos, bleh, and whoever's in center, who gets it? Like it's a huge mess right now. The outfield for us, not just the outfield. I mean, we got some could use another few bullpen arms, couple starting guys too, because some of these guys should not be here. Have a starting job, I should say, per se. But like going back to my thing on Andrew Benintendi is that the fact that he also had ties to Dombrowski during his time with Boston, I would have thought that would have been an interesting opportunity to bring him to Philadelphia, but unfortunately, like I said, the Phillies whiffed on getting Benintendi because knowing how the organization is, sometimes they have inadequacies to really pull the trigger, on certain needs. And Benintendi could be one of those guys that could really help with the basically kind of with their outfield, mostly defense and mostly offensive help when it comes to our outfielders, because. And I would say like this could be the point to where I would say this is like even this when Castellanos is struggling, and I'll get to Castellanos in just a second because I want to rip into him as well, because a lot of Phillies fans do not like this guy, and I know myself included too. I mean, I it's just like Castellanos, like I just feel like he's just like this first. What's good? What is good? What is good, everybody? So appreciate everybody for tuning in. So, like I said, what the hell's going on? Blowing on my damn phone. Fuck off with that. Yeah. My apologies for that, because people are constantly blowing up my phone. But shout out to 6 though, or 7 though, come watching the stream. So Collins was going back to my thought on Castellanos. I have my share of fair. I mean, entire city of Philadelphia has their fair share of criticisms of him. The fact that we paid this guy 5 years for $100 million, and obviously I get it. It's 1 year, but it's not a productive first year, as you would see. Like what Schwarber's doing. Yes, I know Schwarber has a shit ton of strikeouts, but he's literally given what we signed him to do. Like I said, I mean, yeah, the strikeouts for Schwarber is one of my nitpicks on him. And I know his defense has been below Schwarber's defense has been below average, but it has been, like I said, has been better as of recent. Because I think Schwarber's really putting the time into really become a better defender. I mean, we all know that he can also, pretty much is always a home run machine, which also, like I said, comes along with the strikeouts. I think it was like over 100 plus, and it's just that's just like I said, that's one of my nitpicks on Schwarber. I think Schwarber is still a good player. At this point of his career, I mean, he's still young. He's only 29. I mean, I think he's still good enough to produce for any team, which unfortunately that still results in a lot of strikeouts. And at the times, it did frustrate a lot of the Phillies fan base because of that. Now, I think over time, with Schwarber, I think when you start getting hot, between like the end of June or start throughout the month of June and into July, we'll see what August holds. For this team, because like I said, I mean, we've been down this road once before with the Phils. The fact that then there's some out there that I still think, this team could have been better off with Joe Girardi, which let's put this to bed. I don't think that's really the case. I mean, you really look at where this team is now with under Rob Thompson compared to with Joe Girardi, and I did discuss about this too in my last episode of this show, basically saying we were under 500 under Joe Girardi, but ever since Rob Thompson took over, like the bullpen has gotten better, which is really crazy enough to say as it is, because the bullpen has been one of our Achilles heel for the last couple of years. The starting rotation has been better. Some guys that we do, like I said, we do need to cut our losses with going during the trade deadline. Some guys actually have been playing better all around, especially Alec Bohm. I'll kind of talk about Alec Bohm in just a second, because this kid is getting red hot. Like I've never seen a young kid like Alec Bohm really getting hot at the right time. Because this dude has 30 because Bohm has like 30 multi-hit games in his career. He's got a 12-game hitting streak going. Like, yeah, he may not be generating for power, but he really does. He'll pop a home run every now and again, which is a rarity for him. But it's just like for Bohm, I just feel like Bohm really doesn't seem to care about the home runs. It's just like, and we go back to when they took game 3 against the Atlanta Braves. I mean, it's just like he knows to put the ball in play in certain situations. I mean, let's say with Bryson Stott. Yes, I know Bryson Stott had his fair share of criticism. Yeah, because he's also a rookie. So this is for his first, taste of the major leagues going into a 162-game season, which is roughly understanding. But that's just how from the eye test. Now, I will say, man, Bohm has and going back to Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm has his worst moments. We've known that. Since he came up to the major leagues. I still feel like I think this kid's going to be something special. And I think, if his defense is not there, and obviously with the universal DH in place, I would not be surprised if we just have him as a DH. I mean, if he's going to continue his red hot streak as a hitter, why not just have him, as a DH? Now, I will say his defense is starting to pick up the pace a little bit, kind of, catching up to him as well, kind of getting better as a defender. But most of the time, he's just is a primarily an offensive first type of player, and with some, you could definitely say below average defense. I'm not saying he's horrible on defense by any stretch of means. Like I said, it's below average, but he can still make some plays. Whoever better than who can stick out a third. I mean, even we give like say Bowman a day off. I mean, the only other best option you could probably put there was Camargo, and Camargo's a great defender, anyways. I mean, we saw it, and we saw when Camargo played for the Braves. I mean, he's got quick hands. I mean, it's just this team, like I said, as roller coaster this season, and I know a lot of the Phillies fan base, we're tired of it. We are consistently tired. Year in and year out, where we're up and down. Like it's nothing. It's like there's no consistency. It's been always an inconsistent season. Like 1 month we're great, then another month we completely shit the bed. Then we're good. Like say, April we do good. We do good in April. Then we do horrible in the month of May. Then we go and we somehow get hot in the month of June, and kind of be a little bit below average in the month of July and all that. You kind of get the point here. It's just it's really frustrating. It's frustrating to say, really, have you not followed Phillies baseball, mostly like myself and the many others of the Phillies fan base? It's like it's tiresome. We're growing tiresome. It's been long enough. I've not seen October postseason baseball here in the city of Philadelphia, and I still think this trade deadline, Dombrowski's got to make a move, because if not, then the entire city of Philadelphia will have his head, figuratively speaking, anyways. Because Sanford, like I said, and I have my criticism on him. He ain't doing nothing as a GM, and the fact that we hired him as a GM was not the greatest idea in the first place, because the dude's not doing nothing, absolutely nothing. And the front office is really not helping. But like I said, kind of go back to the what's good, BLSG? What is good, man? So kind of going over a few, like I said, kind of talking about a few things is that, I don't know, like it's just, like I said, and not being like being a long time Phillies fan, the last seeing it. I mean, if you have not follows Phillies baseball as long as, like I said, me and the other Phillies fan base already has. It's been we see there has been some good, there's some bad, there were some downright ugly moments throughout this entire the last handful of years with this organization. I mean, the fact that we had go have some decent great names over the years. I mean, like Bobby Abreu, who I thought actually was really fun to watch. Not going to answer that, BLSU. Really am not. But like I said, we still had so many players like, Steve Carlton, Mike Schmidt, Bob Boone, definitely Pete Rose. I mean, I'll talk about Pete Rose because there were some little bit criticisms of, Rose going back to Philadelphia for the I think the 1980 celebration or something like that. And this is where I will say, even though I've not seen it because that was like I said, I was born in the late 90s. I was born in like the late 90s, so I kind of grew up in the eras like Jeff Jacobs, Ryan Madsen, Howard Chooch, Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay. But yeah, like some of the current modern players of like the last 10 to 15 years of this organization. Now, like I said, there were some good, the bad, the ugly. And there's some of the downright ugly ones that I've seen, highlights wise, because I mean, it's just like we made some. Like the Phillies, on the other hand, has been, like I said, it's been very inconsistent the last couple of years, or last 3 to 4 years, as I should say. Now I will say, something like I said, and this is where I will give my grievances. Like something's got to give. I mean, it's getting to the point where like, what's it going to take to really please this fan? Because it's been 10 long years of this bullshit. If not, like I said, not seeing postseason baseball the last 10 years, maybe 11 if that's the case, because I don't know, man. Like soon, like losing the series to the Cubs, that I think that's where that drew the line for me, because like you should at least beat the Cubs. The Cubs are not that great in the NL Central, but it showed the Cubs actually know as bad as they are, actually know how to play some better baseball than the Phillies whatever it would be. But what's good, Liam? Like I said, I mean, the Phillies did strike out on the Andrew Benintendi for the trade deadline, and there's a couple others that, actually, apparently on the trade market, and one of them is DH and outfielder JD Martinez. The thing about Martinez is, I wouldn't mind having Martinez because the dude's been been consistent, but I mean, the only fortunate part is Boston has been floundering. Yeah, that's crazy, Keith. Like I will talk about that in just a second, because I don't know. It's just like I said, you have not followed Phillies baseball, which, let's be real, has. Like I said, it's been a roller coaster with this organization the last handful of years. But like I did said, I mean, there were some good. Like I said, there were some good moments. There were some bad, and the downright ugly. Oh yeah, they did. But this is I'm kind of recapping to when we got swept by the Cubs. That's where I draw my grievances to. Like I said, for those who have not followed Phillies baseball longer than like most of this fan base has, like I said, we've been through some good times. There's some bad times, and obviously the downright ugly. Now I will say though, I mean, there's some of the good moments that throughout this entire history. I mean, we had the 1980 Phillies. We had guys like Mike Schmidt, Bob Boone, Steve Carlton, Tug McGraw as our closer. I have other streams common planned up. I had already streams planned as well, so that's why I had to put off on that. But like I said, kind of go back to some of the other guys that's been on the market. Well, because obviously with the trade deadline coming up in August, JD Martinez. For some reason, his name has been thrown on the trade market. Understandably so, because if you really think about the Boston Red Sox, it's like there's nothing can go right for the Red Sox. Yes, I know the Red Sox are above 500, but if you really look at some of the eye tests and some of the games that they play, like perfect example, when they got if you're talking about a huge ass beating that the Red Sox have really seen, especially against the Toronto Blue Jays when they gave up 28 runs to the Blue Jays. That should tell you an indicator of where the Boston Red Sox is as a team, because obviously they got Chris Sale back, from injury. Next thing you know, he goes out with a pinky injury, and they lose him once again. And obviously, it shows that Chris Sale cannot stay healthy. And I still feel like Sale has not been the same guy as from 2018, and hell, even go back to this time with the Chicago White Sox. Like, that's just what I'm saying. And if I'm seeing like, and I did talk about Xander Bogaerts, which is another guy that we have on our radar in case of say Segura. I know we're getting Segura back soon, but if say we're just going to just completely shut down Segura and move. Oh, sweet. Thank you, William. But kind of like I said, kind of go back to with Segura, and losing Segura also hurt us as well, because Segura's just one of those players that has been as bad as as inconsistent the Phillies have been. Segura has been one of our consistent players. I mean, going down, I think with the hand injury, I think it was. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I still feel like that kind of hurt us a little bit. That set us back a little bit, and also losing Harper too, which I know we're getting him back very soon. Which, like I said, also hurts us in the long run. And that's a good point too. And you see these good teams have a hard time with runners in score position. And Keith, and we've been in that same boat the last couple of years. We couldn't do it until this year, until we had to fire Joe Girardi in order to realize that was one of our biggest key issues as an offense. We had a hard time bringing runners with. I have heard that. That's the thing with Mike Trout is the fact that he was willing to sign that massive contract extension to stay with the Angels, realizing that the Angels were not going to do nothing for him. And that's crazy as it is, as a New Jersey native, seeing Trout having to deal with a quote unquote back issue or condition back issue is it's crazy. Like, I don't know how to put it into words to the point where, like, the fact that the Angels are not doing anything to help show it, like, and this is where, like I said, I'll kind of get a little off topic here, is where they're not helping Ohtani and or Trout, in their. Let's see, for the Yankees, but for us, just really never seemed to work out with us for some reason. It's just like Girardi just really never connected some to these young. I mean, we have a lot of this. Most of the team is young. I mean, with a couple of veterans. I mean, like, JT, Schwarber, Castellanos, maybe Garrett Stubbs. You could probably throw him in. Garrett Stubbs is also a vet in there. But this is mostly a young team, and just like Girardi, for some reason, I just feel it couldn't connect. And that's where I think that's where most of the underlying and not just Girardi too. I mean, there's some other underlying problems too, but not having the top communication that if you're a manager of a team, you should have the proper communication with your players, and losing the clubhouse like that, I think kind of really understood. Something has to be done, and obviously, I think Dombrowski realized, if you can't have a manager that cannot communicate with your players and just try to help their players get better, what good is it going to do through the long run? I mean, Girardi, it seems like Dombrowski realized like maybe Girardi was not the guy, and I don't know. Maybe that's just my crazy thing too. And overall, as a franchise, we had going through many different managers over the years. I mean, the only one that's been very successful here in the city of Philadelphia, and that was Charlie Manuel from 2007, I should say, to 2015. And obviously the Phillies organization did really let this is where I will nitpick with the organization too. The fact they didn't let Manuel finish out the rest of his last year with the organization in 2015. That was some most stupid stuff that I would ever see from an organization. But yeah, also if you're a Pirates fan, I heard that Bly got called back up. So I'm really looking for it, because for me, I'm not kind of worried. Well, then again, not really, because I mean, think about it. It says the fact we took the series from the Braves, I mean, which was easier said than done. I mean, because look, the Rays also got having Matt Olson, and a really, let's be real, has a good pitching staff, and it's led by Max Fried and company. And this is where I will say too, is that a lot of teams, not just the Phillies, there's some needs that a lot of other teams will need. Well, if you're looking at us, man, we have needs all over the goddamn place. Like I said, outfield help is one of them. Obviously, like bullpen's always been it's been one of those biggest priorities with this organization for the last few years now, more than a few years and counting. Now, like I said, I will say the bullpen has gotten better, but there were some guys that I think the Phillies have to might cut our losses with. And one of them that's very familiar and this is where I did have my criticisms with him. And this is where and Familia has cost us, and Albert, and I had my hard rant on Albert has been as a recent up to this point in the season. Despite whatever, like I said, whatever was said to Alvarado or what changes were made to his mechanics, like he's just like, I feel like that's where I think he has gotten better. Yeah, I could definitely see that. If that will tell me one thing, it could either be one of two things: that the Yankees are out on Soto, and number two, that could be possibly be at the end of Joey Gallo. And despite being not a Yankees fan, at least I know the Yankees fans know this better. And we've been in the same boat, or part of the same boat as well. Having one guy that's a consistent strikeout machine, which is crazy. Looking at it is that, and I saw this graphic too. It made me laugh as an outsider, but as a general baseball fan, that the fact that Judge has 38 home runs, but throughout the entire career with the Yankees for Joey Gallo, 37 hits. Like I don't know what to. I didn't know how to react to that, but like I said, JD Martinez is one of those guys. I think if we do need some DH help, I would not mind that. Because if you really think about it, our DH problem has not been well. I'm not saying it's not bad. It has been not great to say the least. In terms of we have got some decent production out of our some guys in the DH spot like Derek Cole, but Derek Cole has been kind of been on a scale as a reason since that little bit of a hot start. And I think, man, it's been a while since I've seen it's probably been a while since we've seen JD in the outfield because you really think about it. JD has been most of a DH for at this point for his longest part of his career. Obviously, when it comes to the starting rotation, it has been. I can't remember the word I'm looking for. Yeah, Liam, he ain't that great. Yeah, Bailey Falter is not that great. And like I said, that's another guy that I think we have to cut our losses with him going into the trade deadline. And same with Familia. Like I said, Familia and Alvarado has cost us some games, but Familia pretty much cost us a good chunk of games over the years. Well, throughout this entire this 2022 season, I should say. And it's like, that's where everything I felt like kind of really, like I said, this is where my criticism of Familia has come from. Even Mets fans already said, watch out for how streaky that Familia can be. And it's ridiculous. It's crazy as it sounds. Like the starting rotation, Nola has. Oh, good Lord! If nothing goes right, then again, Falter has cost us a couple games when he starts. I'm not surprised if we lose game one with under Billy Falter. I'm not going to be surprised. I really am not because Falter has shown at times he's not the guy. In the rotation. I know. We have Suarez. And our rotation really does make a difference when you have if Suarez is on his. Especially, I know Suarez is our number 5 guy in the rotation. The reason why Falter's are in the rotation because obviously, like I said, and this kind of sends back to my last what I talked about last episode was that Eflin cannot stay healthy. Eflin's just one of those guys, as I feel like he has the stuff to be a good number 3 or 4 in the rotation, but it's the health. Now with Zach Wheeler, I still feel like I think so. Like I said, I'll talk about the Eagles in a separate show for that. And this is the crazy part too. And there are times we have lost some games under Wheeler, which which is rarity for us because when what do you call it? When Wheeler really pitches well, we win a lot of his starts. It's the same thing goes to when Nola has one that has a good stretch of, really pitching well. I mean, I feel like, and our starting rotation, we do have to improve on that. And one guy I think could be, there's a couple. I mean, one of the guys I've been looking at was Frankie Montas from the Oakland A's. And let's be real, the Oakland A's has been a complete dumpster fire since, pretty much get rid of everybody. Matt Chapman, Matt Olson. Who else am I missing? Jesus Christ. It's crazy. It's because shit. God, who else am I missing? Then again, there was really no the Matt Chapman one when they got rid of Matt. He is, but you could definitely say the same thing for Nola. But hey, what's good, Steve? What is good, my guy? But yeah, so I think we definitely could use some starting rotation help because Suarez has been hitting hot and cold sometimes. I mean, Wheeler has been has been consistent since coming to Philadelphia. I mean, not going the 2020 season. I mean, that's pretty much when he had one of his quote unquote better years. But I think he's been and Wheeler has been that one of the workhorse starters that we haven't had in a long time. I mean, this rotation it will never pale into comparison what we had in 2009, 2010. We had the likes of Cole Hamels, Halladay, Cliff Lee, Roy Oswalt, and who was the fifth starter in that rotation? I don't know, and some random schmuck in the fifth spot. I don't know exactly who, but like I said, this rotation has had its moments in terms of production. I mean, Nola has been better as a recent, and others have not paid attention to. And like I said, I've always had my fair share of criticisms against Aaron Nola. And, I just feel like Nola, I don't know, like 2018, I know he would, I had a feeling there's no way he was going to win it because he had like two other better pitchers than him at that time, going against with the Cy Young, and that was Scherzer and DeGrom. But the fact that he finished in the top three in the Cy Young voting, that was an easy win as Phillies fans enough. But would it be awesome to have him the Cy Young? Yeah, it would, but being realistically, that was not going to happen because you have two other better pitchers. Like I said, at the time in 2018, better than Aaron Nola, even though Aaron Nola had a really good year. But like I said, he had Scherzer also had a much better year than Nola. I think that's still at the time when he was still with the Nationals and he still had DeGrom. When fully healthy, is completely disgusting. That's what I will end with that on that. Obviously, like I said, the trade deadline is approaching, which is really crazy as it is. It's crazy as enough. But I will be live for that kind of, give do some live reactions and with a few other baseball friends of mine. Another guy that's been on the I did talk about was Xander Bogaerts with the shortstop. Like I said, kind of going back to kind of this will tie into if Segura doesn't come back, as the Phillies would hope, or in case of if it's going to what's going to happen, if it's going to point to the point where we're going to shut Segura down, we're going to have to move stock to second, and we're definitely going to need someone ashore that's must be real so much better than Didi because Didi has been hit and miss with this team since since getting him in free agency. I think it was. Xander Bogaerts, I would not mind if just to really kind of hold things over when they will. Temporarily, because I think, but then again, that's the crazy part too. Like, is he really gonna? Because I've seen that he wants to opt out. It's going to definitely opt out. I don't think the Red Sox is really going to. I don't know. I don't know what the Red Sox, because the Red Sox is just like I said has been blech. Like it's like despite for a team that's slightly above 500 in the AL East, a stacked AL East, I should say. It's called into question of some of the players that actually want to go. I mean, they already think about it. It all started. I mean, you go make the argument. This all has kind of all started. Since Chaim Bloom traded away Mookie Betts to the Dodgers, along with David Price. Yes, I know David Price was getting up there in age. I mean, he was still productive for the Red Sox for last year and a half since he was there. And then you moved on from JBJ the first time. Then you brought him back. Has not been the same player since he was with Boston during those years. Chris Sale can't stay healthy. I mean, the only one. I mean, Christian Vacquez has been kind of one of the breakout players from behind the plate. I mean, Verdugo has been pretty good for them. I mean, shit, Devers has been consistently getting better, but with the support, some of the slightly supporting cast around some of the other players has not been great. Standard Bogarts, I would not mind because as this is according to the Philly Voice said, it is a long shot for Bogarts to get Bogarts, but obviously, like I said, Bogarts is another person that has ties to Dombrowski during his time with and there's also goes to say that this is more of a long shot, like I did say. Bogarts came opt out of his contract. He does have an opt out clause after this year, after the season, and obviously for the Phillies, it is an October or bust as well. But he will. It also say he would be an established star presence in a short, definite upgrade over Didi. Yes, in both aspects, absolutely. I mean, because he's not that. And this is where I'll say with Bogarts. Bogarts is not that bad of a defender. I think he's more better with the bat, but his glove is an above average glove, better than Didi. So I would have that. And then, like I said, I'll give him a little bit of time for Stott to. As I said, and obviously you can definitely buy time for Stott because if you're really looking at the end of the day, I mean, I still feel like it might be like a rental piece, but if it's going to say help us on the offensive end and all this stuff, it's just that's where I will think I think Bogart will come in handy, and obviously with the outfield, that's where Ian Happ comes in because, like I said, we were also linked to Andrew Benintendi before Benintendi gets traded to the Yankees. Happ, on the other hand, I think he could be a second best option based on the fact he can do both. He's a great offensive player and a good defender, which I think nowadays some of these outfielders are one dimensional. And having someone like, I'd like say, like a Benintendi who's good on both ends. Same with Ian Happ and the Cubs. Now, I did say about the Cubs. I mean, Ian Happ pretty much killed the Phillies in the Phillies home game against the Cubs. Yeah, I mean, you still got Happ. He's only 27. Having a research year in Chicago, earning his first All-Star night with a 279 batting average and an 807 OPS. That will be a nice boost for teams. Yeah, and absolutely, because let's be real, our outfield has been below average, to say the least. Starting pitching, which, I do have, like I said, most of the fan base that will nitpick on that a little bit because Nola and Wheeler had pretty much been the workhorses, the 1 and 2, and then you have, Gibson has been hot and cold. Suarez has also been hot and cold as well. And we're tied to, let's see how many stars we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So apparently we are also linked to like 6 different starting pitchers. 2 are from the Oakland Athletics. Frankie Montas, right now 3-9 and 18 starts with a 3.16 ERA, 99 and 2/3 innings pitched with 105 strikeouts to 25 walks, and a WHIP at 1.084. Would not mind to have because I mean you really think about keeping an EC third in the rotation. Because I think Gibson's going to be done out of the way. We can move on from Gibson probably at the trade deadline. I would not mind that because Gibson, if I can definitely see that because if you really think about it, this and actually that's a very good thing. Good point. And this is where I will say too, if Trout did not sign that max contract extension, I think we could have had Harper and Trout here in Philadelphia. But and this is where I will kind of nitpick on Trout a little bit. The fact that he's going to spend the rest of his career for a team that's, let's be real, hasn't really been the best. Since the early 2000s, give or take. Because I mean, look, the last time they ever made the postseason was during his rookie year in 2014. Unfortunately, getting swept by the Royals, unfortunately, who loses to the World Series to the Giants, and everything goes in between. And, it shows that, yeah, they cannot put a good supporting cast around yet. And this is where, and I did really say, if a team with the Angels have two perennial all-stars and you cannot build a full supporting cast to help them out is ridiculous. Hey, what's good, Jerry Lee? Appreciate it, man. Like I said, we also signed to Frankie Montas from the Athletics. Paul Blackburn's an interesting one. Right now, 6-6 and 19 starts with a 4.35 ERA, 101 and the third innings pitch with 82 strikeouts to 29 walks. At a ERA basically at 1.3, we rounded up. I would not mind. I think he'd be a solid 4 in the rotation. If because if you really think about it, we could definitely move from Eflin and Kyle Gibson, and can find a way to get we definitely do need to see a fielder. Absolutely, I think that's where I think that, like I said, that's where I think Ian Hack can come into play. Because I mean, he's younger. Let's be real. He's putting up actually really good numbers this year, better than our center field platoon that we have out there. And and the starting pitching, like I said, and we can cut her like a. Yeah, I saw that. Unfortunately, he was one of the guys on my list that I want the Phillies would have grabbed, but knowing how the Phillies are, I couldn't not hold my breath. But kind of going back to my thought on that is that Hap, I think Hap could be the second best option which is on the market right now. I mean, if you really think about it, I see. Again, Ian Happ, I would not mind, because the fact if you really look at some of the Cubs series, he pretty much he killed us. Like, he pretty much killed us in that 3-game set, in Philadelphia. And other starting pitchers we also tied to. That's an all-familiar face, Drew Smiley. Absolutely not. The dude has not really panned out since when we even had him for like a year. Did not have a good year in Philly. So I would say stay away from Smiley, even though he has some decent numbers, a 3-5 record in 12 starts with an ERA under 4 and 55 innings pitched. I mean, it's only like most of the time kind of pretty much not great. Luis Castillo is another one that's been a lot of talks. Yeah, that would have been the scene. Now that, and actually looking at it, I say, yeah, getting a rental and expensive. And the fact that the Yankees only gave up like 3 pitching prospects to get him, which then again, knowing how the Yankees are, I mean, they could probably definitely offer him a contract extension. So we'll see. Luis Castillo, and I think a lot of teams are kind of almost after him. Most of the better of the teams. I know the Dodgers have some are kind of looking at him. The Astros are looking at him. And I know that for a fact. And there's a few others that I can't remember at the top of my head. If we can somehow snag Luis Castillo in the rotation, that's going to be a good looking 1-2-3 combo right there. With imagine this. I mean, see, and that's what I'm saying. If Andrew Benintendi performs well, yeah, I think he would definitely get a contract extension, because let's be real, he was not going to do nothing with the Royals. The Royals were not going to do nothing for him. I mean, look, the Royals they're all another team that's rebuilding. That's just kind of going. That's just where my thoughts on that. Jose Quintana, another guy I would somewhat not mind it, based on the fact that he's not. This is the thing too. If we can get somebody that's at least above average on the back end. Hey, what's good, 90s? What's good, man? What is good? Yeah, we got the Pirate series next, and I did talk about we are tied to one of the my next live stream. Jesus Christ, I don't know exactly. Yeah, shout out to Michael. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to 6 though. Coming, greatly appreciate that. Liam, to answer your question, right now, obviously at 9:00, like I said, I get the Israel to me. Yeah, unfortunately, if the Cardinals did not win over the Blue Jays, which that's where I will nitpick a little bit, because I like some of the offensive pieces that the Blue Jays have, but man, their pitching has really helped them out. And obviously, I think because it's going to come down to us in the St. Louis for the 3rd wild card spot, because looking at it, it's just like it's not great. Let's put it that way. We'll see about that, Liam, because I mean, look, I'm not hating on the Pirates any way, shape, or form. It's just like if you kind of go back to last year, we were not great, and obviously your Pirates did kind of get the better of us last year. But looking at some of the pieces that we have made, or some of the additions we made with this offseason, I think we could still beat the Pirates with no problem. But I think the Pirates are going to be one of those teams that's going to put up. It's going to be like the Marlins a little bit, and going to be putting up a fight against us. That's just where I will leave it at that. We also linked to hosting Quintana, which, like I said, I'm not opposed to getting something like another lefty in the rotation. Because I mean, if Suarez doesn't pan out in the rotation like that one year, I say put him back in the bullpen. And here's what has been better in the bullpen. He's better as a bullpen piece, but like I said, he's been hot and cold as a starter throughout this entire season, and has dealt with some small injuries as well along the way. That is true, and then it's funny. I've seen some Dodgers fans were kind of mad about that because, like I said, like I said, it's going to be a close fight between the Pirates and the Phils, based on the fact that, yeah, I mean, it's not like how the Yankees are not the Yankees, but the Marlins isn't interesting. It's the same. It's the same way. Not great, but they know how to put up a fight against, as well. But like I said, and we're also looking at Jose Quintana from the Pittsburgh Pirates, 3-5 record and 19 starts with an ERA of 3.70. 97-1. That is true. Exactly. It's just like it gets us. A lot of Phillies fans think it's like, what the hell? Because like perfect example, we took 3 or 4 out of like the Dodgers, probably one of the better teams in the National League. We took 3 out of 4 from them, and they're in their own ballpark. And obviously, I think we did split the series with them in Philadelphia, I think it was, or they took 2 or 3 out of that. And it showed that, the Phillies can hang with the best of the best, but when it comes to like the worst teams, like, the Pirates, the Cubs, the Marlins, we got the Reds coming up next, which we'll see how that goes. But kind of putting in the perspective, as Jerry would put it, it's just like, yeah, we should beat teams that we should have no problems beating. With the Marlins, for a team that's, has not seen the postseason so much since, obviously, 2020. But I still will not count that based on the fact that, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, that's what I said earlier. We're very inconsistent. Like, it's been like in the ways that for that's not seen Phillies baseball throughout the years. Like 1 month we're good, 1 month we're bad. It's like a roller coaster. It's like a roller coaster of different inconsistencies. We have played some. We've been surprised at the fact we're still hovering about past 500 without a Harper, which is a feat in itself, because if you not really realize that Harper is one of those guys that is pretty much just the glue that holds his team together. Since going down with the thumb injury, which sucked. Number one, number two, I thought that was going to hurt us. If that was the case, that was going to hurt us in the long run. Now, I'm hearing that Seguro might be back sooner rather than later, which is good news for us. Number one, but the thing is, it's like, is he going to be 100%? Can he really get back into the full swing of things and face actual pitching? Because I still feel like he could still try to get some rehab time in the minors and then come back up to the Phillies when all that's said and done. Because then again, I'm not surprised. Because I think the Reds have some decent players. Because good Lord, since what the Reds have been this entire year, oof. I would rather have the Marlins beat the Reds, because man, the Reds are absolutely garbage. And I'm just putting it lightly, because you really think about it. Because the fact that we saw the start that they had at the way before the All-Star break, what was 3-25, I think it was, or something like that. And the fact that they started out that bad, it's just it gets you thinking. For a small market team as the Cincinnati Reds, who's one of the very first major league teams in MLB history, and one of the oldest too, it's just like the fans, they have been playing better, but I still feel like they definitely need better ownership for a team that had an opportunity to keep Castellanos. and a few others. Like, they didn't trade Tucker Barnhart to Detroit, and that's not a similar. It's not that great either for Barnhart in Detroit. I mean, now they're having now the possibility to move on from Luis Castillo at the trade deadline. That's going to be a crazy thing to look at going forward for the Cincinnati Reds. And you really think about it too. I mean, like how much, like I give a lot of credit to Joey Votto to put up with this amount of bullshit that the Reds are going through for a team. Let's be real. I mean, have not seen a World Series since the 70s. So since the days of the Great Red Machine in 1974 and 1975. That should tell you something. And actually wrong. Let me backtrack. You haven't seen postseason since 2013. That was during the wild card game when you still had Johnny Cueto still in his prime. You still you still had the Pittsburgh Pirates. You still had Russell Martin in his prime. You still had McCutchen in his prime, probably coming off an MVP caliber type of season that McCutchen had in 2013. And seeing some of these nowadays, like seeing these guys that won the MVP, like McCutchen, Yelich, and a few others, and have not been the same. I mean, yes, Father Time's getting up there. I mean, yeah, but that's just, yeah, definitely like other starting pitch. I mean, Quintana, I would not mind, based on the fact that we can have another somewhat above average lefty in the rotation towards the bottom end. I would not mind that. I mean, because Frankie Montas is another guy I would not mind having either. Because let's be real, because I think Montas could definitely use in a better situation. Based on the fact that I don't know, man. Basically put in a nutshell. Talk about the red. Actually, that's a good question. Because I remember since. Oh, God, if I can spell Cincinnati right, Jesus Christ. Yeah, about that. The Marlins are. Well, then again, I'm not surprised the Marlins are beating the. Okay, yeah. So the last championship was in 1990. That was they did. Was that with Pinella? Gee, because like I said, I don't know about that because like I said, I was born in '97, so I was born 7 years later after the Reds won the World. Because I remember they still had Barry Larkin. They still had who the hell was still there? Jesus Christ, I'm not. Is that really that? Oh Jesus. So 1990. So it was. Oh yeah, wow, Jim Lehman with the Tiger or Pittsburgh Pirates. Who would have thought that was possible? Yeah, it was with Pinella. But I will say too, Pinella is one of those managers that's one of those very colorful managers at that. Because man, he knows how to put on on comedic shows. But other than that, I did say JD Martinez. We're looking at Martinez possibly if him playing the outfield or can improve be an extra bat in the DH. Because most of the guys, like I said, we had some decent production out of the DH spot in this organization. We were also looking at different starting pitching. Like I said, with Frankie Montas, Paul Blackburn. Paul Blackburn is going to be an interesting one to really look at. I mean, his numbers are not bad. I think they're somewhat above average at best. I mean, Castillo. I mean, wow, the fact that you're looking at Castillo is interesting enough. Quintana, I would not mind. In Phillies Pinstripes and Syndergaard. Now, Syndergaard, I would stay away from because, like I said, and this is where I have nothing against Syndergaard. I think when Syndergaard is healthy, I think he's good when he's healthy. That's the biggest key is health for Syndergaard. Syndergaard just could not stay healthy. I mean, we looked at during his time with the New York Mets, could not stay healthy to save his life. But then you can definitely make the argument that that's what even DeGrom. I mean, DeGrom was still disgusting during that time. I think it was like 2 years in at that time. And but yeah, Syndergaard is another guy I will at least just kind of keep my distance away from. I mean, he's got a record of 5-7 and 14 starts with an ERA of 4, 74 in the third innings pitched with 58 strikeouts to 20 walks and a WHIP under basically 1.2. I did see that we're also looking at Michael Givens from the Cubs. Rather, it could be if it's somewhat a better piece over, Familia. I would, if I, I would jump in, would pull that trigger immediately. I would definitely would do that. Michael Givens so far in 37 appearances, or 37 and 2/3 innings pitched, is 5-2 with 46 strikeouts, an ERA at 2.87 with a WHIP at 1.27. Yeah, ain't that the truth? I mean, pretty much shut us down. Daniel Bard, another guy I think that could be really helping the back end of the bullpen. Because I think mostly at this point, we all know that Cerny Dominguez is our tremendous closer at the moment, as right now. But we can have something like a Daniel Bard as be like the setup guy. I think that I would not mind to have someone like a Daniel Bard, because let's be real. I mean, the fact that I think Bard could do a lot better. I mean, and the Rockies have playing better as of recently, but let's be real. I mean, the fact that you have guys like Chris Bryant that can't stay healthy. I mean, Chuskin has been somewhat consistent. I mean, I don't know who else is with that team anymore, because I remember the days of Todd Helton, Paul Konerko. I mean, a lot of people don't remember Brad Hawk playing for the Rockies back in the day. That's just me. But also, like I said, we're also tied to David Robertson, which Phillies fans know that the first 2 years with Robertson were not great because of injury. And I will say, if the fact he's fully healthy and someone kind of putting up numbers that's I think what could have been, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. But maybe that's just me. But we were also tied to, like I said, we were tied for. This is where it comes to the bullpen, which is, like I said, we could definitely use some extra arms in that bullpen. We were also, like I said, I did mention this last time in my last episode. We were tied to David Robertson. Now we're separated. Now we're looking at Daniel Bard. Bard converted 20 of 22 on save opportunities, doing so with a 1.96 ERA and a WHIP barely over 1. Michael Givens, I would not mind having either. David Bednar from the Pirates, that's an interesting one. The fact we're looking at him is the fact that could be another closer option. Hey, that's the case, I would not mind. And I did talk about Wiley Peralta from the Tigers as well, in terms of what the Phillies could do when it comes to bullpen options. And I'm not saying it just to say it's like we're doing this and that, but looking at like obviously with the construction as it is, and some of the needs that we need. I mean, if we can get some couple decent arms and some solid bullpen arms as well in the trade deadline, hell, and try to get some guys in some free agency that can produce. I think this team could be, no shadow of a doubt, could be a top one. Well, like I said, still a wild card team. We're so far ways off of being a division winner, because it's always been the Braves. Let's keep it real. I think, well, I would say no. This is pretty much going to be the Met, because I feel like this is it's crazy as it sounds. This reminds me of how the Mets were actually really good in 2015. This year reminds me of the 2015 Mets, where they just pretty much ran away with the division. This, like, prior to the Braves being what they were the last couple of years, when the NL East consistently. But that's just I'm going crazy. But like I said, we're also linked to Wiley Peralta, Michael Fulmer from the Tigers. Could be an interesting one of those like middle of the top bullpen kind of guys. Like say 6th or 7th inning kind of guys. That kind of thing. But yeah, so. But that's just one of the many. According to the Philly Voice, and damn, where's my Google? But yeah, so with the trade deadline coming around in August, I still feel like the Philly, like I said, something's got to give with this organization. I still feel like the Phillies really need to need to start making some moves, because let's be real. I mean, if you really think about it, if the Cardinals still play, or if they're playing well as better than they are, yeah, it's not going to look great for another year that the Phillies are going to miss out on postseason baseball. Which, like I said, it's been tiresome. Like, I know what kind of preparing you said, it's been tiresome, but if you have not lived through it, the good, the bad, and some of the different many years of Phillies baseball, it's been, I don't know, man. It's just like what's it going to give? That's all I'm saying. It's just like, DeBrusque's got to figure out. DeBrusque's got to find a way to pull the trigger at the trade deadline. Yeah, it's already in the 7th inning already, and that's another team. We're seeing teams like the Orioles. Now, a lot of times people realize now sometimes we do clown on them because they still got to pay Chris Davis after retiring. He was still under contract when that was taking place. Seeing that they're almost completing to finish the rebuild, which is, let's be real, it's embarrassing to see a low payroll team finishing their rebuild and actually playing much better baseball than a team like the Phillies. That's just what I'm saying. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. We got something. Okay, so apparently, NBC Sports Philadelphia put out something about from center field help. Apparently. Okay, so about the DH, like I said, I did talk about the DH, and I think that's where JD. I say we do find a way to pull the trigger on JD Martinez. I think that's where the DH might come into play with JD Martinez. I think I still feel that's JD Martinez is one of those guys I can think you can definitely would have at the DH position. You know what team can make good use of? Get out of here, stupid. Obviously, Josh Bell's still on the market because now looking at this, it's like. Yeah, Josh Bell, I think, there's a few teams that I don't know. Josh Bell's going to be an interesting one to really look at going to the trade deadline. I still feel like overall, I just feel like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think about on Josh Bell. I still think he's still a good player. Got to get out of Washington. And this is where I think Watt and Soto realized, that team is not going to go anywhere for, next 2 to 3 years maybe, depending on. Hey, what's good, Michael? What is good, Michael? Yeah, absolutely. Because this is where, like I said, I mean, we can because look, I like what Derek Hall brings to the table as a player. I still think we can definitely upgrade the DH position. Well, spot, I should say. It's not a position, but a lot of people kind of get the idea. But I think JD Martinez is going to be one of those guys I would keep on my radar. For upgrade the DH spot in the lineup. I still feel like. I still feel like that's where I would not mind having, because I mean the dude has been a good hit, consistent hitter since from his days in Detroit. Oh God, it's been years. It's been a while since I watched him play. Okay, so there was other two other names that we were also linked to. That was Cedric Mills from Baltimore and Brian Reynolds. Brian Reynolds, like I said, I wouldn't mind, but the problem that is this where I think the one problem lies is that he's going to be expensive for a lot of teams that might have to pay or give up a significant amount for someone like Brian Reynolds. Cedric Mills is another guy that I think he can be a much cheaper option, because I think if you really think about it, because I mean the question is like Brian Reynolds, and you're going to give a decent amount for Brian Reynolds, because I think Brian Reynolds has been consistent on a below average Pirates team, as looking at it. They did say about Ian Happ. I did talk about that. He's going to be turning 28 on August 12th. But then again, looking at it, saying that the fact that, I mean, yes, the fact that Reynolds, I think it can be a lot more, it's going to be expensive because they have more club control for the next 3 years. Same with Maltz, but it's getting to the point where it's like, and I forgot about Whit Merrifield too. I forgot Whit Merrifield's another guy. I think a lot of people are not talking about him. Yeah, yes, and they did say about Benintendi. Yeah, but it's not a concern not anymore with Benintendi, so you can scratch that off the list. Another guy actually we also were looking at Ramon Laureano from the Oakland A's and Michael A. Taylor from the Kansas City Royals. Look at, yeah. Away from course. Yeah, just below average numbers from Grichuk, Tommy Pham. Yeah, don't want that. That's I would definitely see at the end of 20. See, Laureano, I think I would not mind having, especially for outfield. I think he could be somewhat of a better upgrade over Castellanos for sure. And I mean, as much as I like Michael A. Taylor, I mean, and Hunter, my buddy Hunter Doyle from the Philly Insider Podcast brought up a good point. yeah, if it's only need defensive purposes for Michael for center field, yeah, I mean that's where Michael Tara comes in. I think another guy I think it could be a possibility on the trade market, and that's Victor Robles on the Washington Nationals. Now I'm saying like I don't think Washington might trade him because I mean you really think about it because they're going to they could possibly be shipping out Soto to whoever might outbid for anybody for their services, and then you have what the hell's his name, Josh Bell. I know he's going to be a free agent very soon. I still feel like Bell can also go to a contender as well. And I think Victor Robles is still a good player. I mean, I still think he can be somewhat of an upgrade in the center field position because as much as like Veering, though, I think Veering could be an easy. Look, Veering can also be a corner outfield, but I think can also be somewhat in a decent infield. But that's just where we're sitting at with the with Merrifield. I don't know. Like, of course, it said the article say he's on the decline. I don't know if he's really on the decline. I think he's just having one down year. But that's just where I will leave it off with that with the trade deadline coming up. Like I said, I will be live for that as well. But yeah, so this is where we're gonna wrap it up here because we are out of time. But I appreciate everybody that was tuning into this show. Actually, I got a lot of good stuff to kind of talk about. But like I said, I will be live for the trade deadline. Gonna have a couple people with me. Gallo, yes, but I don't want Gallo because I can't deal. Look, dealing with Schwarber striking out is one thing. Having a guy like Gallo, literally for some reason cannot hit to save his damn life, but it's better. A decent defender is another thing, but yeah. So we're gonna see. That's gonna be interesting to see what the trade deadline is gonna hold, especially in August. I will be, like I said, I'll be live for that with a couple people. Just give our live reactions and kind of give our thoughts on a few things and like who's going to go where and who's going to, or let's say or hell, even worse, Juan Soto is going to be, because that's going to be probably going to be the number one thing I think a lot of baseball fans are going to look at. But with that out of the way, if you guys like the stream, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe, guys, and I appreciate it for everyone with another awesome episode of the Phillies Talk Podcast, episode 10. But with that being said, this is Robert from the Philly Sports Talk Podcast. I'll see you guys in the next one.